Greetings, my friends. This is Jose Alvarez from Grants, New Mexico. This is Saturday, September 28th, 2019. Tomorrow we get to Flagstaff, Arizona. Monday we get to Barstow, California. And Tuesday we get to our home in Los Angeles after 4.5 months of ministry on the road. So it's 6:30, but I wanted to get 6:30 p.m. for me, so I wanted to get this video quickly done. Very quick video. I started to read some books on the glory of God because the next move of God is not going to be spiritual gifts, though we're always going to function in spiritual gifts. It's going to be in God's glory. And the difference between spiritual gifts and the glory of God is that in spiritual gifts, God is speaking to man, and man is stepping out to minister by the voice of God. In the ministry of the glory of God, it's God who does all the ministry. Man does nothing but get into the flow of the river and just flow and chase after God with what he's doing. And it's a far superior ministry. That's where we see the miracles, the signs and wonders. It's in the glory. And I can tell you that is the next move of God. Spiritual gifts are good, but spiritual gifts are not going to bring revival. Prophecy is not going to bring revival to this world. You know, getting visions is not going to bring revival. It's got to be manifested signs and wonders, which only happen when it's God doing them. So, God really has spoken to me that as we go back to California, that the next level is to press into learning to minister in his glory, which is a much more difficult ministry than to minister in the spiritual gifts. Now, I'm not gonna give up spiritual gifts. I will always minister in spiritual gifts, but there's a higher level, and this is what God is calling those that want to pay the price to move beyond spiritual gifts to functioning in the glory of God. And I hope that as I learn about the glory of God, which I know very little about, I can share with you. But today, a few people that are really functioning a lot more in the glory than I am. A few. David Herzog. Let me give you a few names out there. I know that some have music also. For example, Joshua Mills. Joshua Mills, I'm reading an excellent book by him. I forget the name. I think it's called The Realms of His Glory. And he also has music done in the glory of God. Joshua Mills, and he sees gold dust, and he sees all sorts of stuff happening. He sees oil in his hands. He's seen people's brown eyes turn blue, that kind of stuff. And then there's another guy that's also ministering in the glory. David Herzog, Herzog. David Herzog. I don't know if David Herzog has music or not, but he has some books about the glory. And then a woman of God who died, she also functioned a lot in the glory of God. Her name was Ruth Ward, W-A-R-D, Heflin, H-E-F-L-I-N, Heflin, Ruth Ward Heflin. So Joshua Mills, David Herzog, and Ruth Ward Heflin are three people that I'm just beginning to read. So let me just share something quickly about something that I read with, last one, Charles Capps. Charles Capps, C-A-P-P-S. Charles Capps, I think, is dead. Charles Capps was an amazing man of God, and his daughter also wrote some books. But Charles Capps is the master. He's the apostle of speaking and creating things by the voice. He's the master of how to create things, how to release miracles, and so his thing is all about speaking the word of God, commanding the word of God to see a healing, commanding the word of God to see finances. He has a lot of really excellent books on how to speak forth the word of God. You can find them very, very cheap. Charles Capps, C-A-P-P-S. I really think that any person that's going to minister in the glory of God has to learn how to also minister in the spoken word, because When you are ministering in the glory, you are bringing the invisible. See, as I told you, I told you this already. Hebrews 11 verse 1. Now faith is, and faith is now. Now faith is not tomorrow. Faith accesses things right now. And we're going to talk more about faith. But faith is the, I can't remember right now. Faith is a substance of things not seen, the evidence of things hoped, the evidence of things hoped for. No, faith is the evidence, faith is a substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So when we look at that word, things appearing in things not seen, that's the word pragma. And pragma is a thing, it's a completed matter. So a pragma is an object that is completed, that is full, that is fully the object that it's supposed to be. So the earth is full of things. There are temporal things. Paul tells us, I think it's in 2 Corinthians 4, he says, do not seek the things, he says, we do not look at the things that are temporal, because those are going to last for a short time, but we look at the things that cannot be seen. So things, we have, our natural world is full of things, and heaven is full of things, we just don't see them. And the things of the invisible kingdom, which is what we want to bring down, are accessed by faith. We're not going to talk about faith today, but let me just say this quickly. What Joshua Mills says, that's really excellent. Part of learning to function in the glory is by bringing the things that cannot be seen down to earth. Charles Capps says that, and I don't want to get into a long teaching tonight. Charles Capps says that as we have the eyes of the natural, we have to develop the eyes of faith. And the eyes of faith start to see the things that are invisible. In other words, to function in the glory, first of all, we have to see. We have to see. God said, let there be light. And there was light. And the reason why God said, let there be light, it was so that he could see. So that he could see. Not that God has to see or not see. But, I think that, I'm trying to remember all these things in the book of Genesis, but I think that the first thing that God said when he started to bring creation was, let there be light, right? And light is needed so that then everything else that's in heaven that he's going to bring from the invisible to the visible can be seen. So Charles Capps tells us that we have to train our eyes to become eyes of faith. In the way that we see in the natural, we have to start to see by faith. And the eyes of faith start to get trained as you press into the Spirit. You start to see the invisible things. You see them with the eyes of faith, but you see them in visions or in a word. And what you do is, then by the decreed word, that's where Charles Capps comes in, you command and you start to decree the things that you see by faith, and those things eventually start to manifest according to your faith. Now, so what Joshua Mills says, that part of getting those things that are in heaven to earth, he says it's very, very good. Jesus tells us that whatsoever we believe for, we will receive. And then I think he says in Mark, see, I'm doing this after traveling for many hours today. It's 7 o'clock at night time. I don't have any Bible verses on me. But he says, whatsoever you say and doubt not, that you will receive. So there's all these things about receiving. And the word for receiving is to make something your own. Many times as a Christian, and I've been guilty of that, we say, I receive. But what we are receiving is, we're receiving with our minds. And that's not receiving. Joshua Mills says to receive something is to possess it. When you receive something, really, the word for receive in the Greek is the word lambano. That's a Strong's number 2983. Write that down. Strong's number 2983 is a word for receive, and it's a word lambano, but it means to receive means to seize, to grab it, and to make it your own. Are you getting me? When we say that we receive something, that we receive something, when we receive $100, we have grabbed it and we have seized it and we've made it our own and we've deposited it into our bank account. It's not I receive with our minds. So he says that in his meetings, part of how he teaches people how to receive the things that are in heaven is he tells people, start to worship the Lord and start to worship the Lord. As you worship, lift your hands up and start to press into heaven. These things that we're trying to access are in heavenly places. They are invisible, but they are there. They're in heavenly places. It says, by faith, start to grab those things as you worship. Go deeper and deeper into the heavenlies and start to see those things and start to see them and start to grab them and start to possess them by faith in your heart, not in your mind. You understand what I'm saying? This is just a spiritual exercise. As here's my Kindle. I grabbed this Kindle. The things that we want to access from heaven, well, they must be grabbed. So Joshua Mills in his meetings, he tells people, go into the heavenlies and take your eyes of faith and start to see those things, the eternal things that you want, the eternal things, that money that you need. Start to see it. Start to go deeper. Start to go deeper into the heavens. Start to go deeper and deeper and deeper. And grab it. And grab it. And make it a tangible reality in your heart. And start to bring it down by the law of faith. Start to make it your own. You see what I'm saying? It's not just I believe. It's a physical act. As I grab this Kindle from heaven, I start to grab the things that I need from heaven. Those eternal things, I start to grab them by faith. I see them, Lord, I see them with the eyes of faith. Lord, I grab them. And as I grab them, then what you do is you start to decree, I see it, Lord. And God says, as you see this thing and as you grab it, then speak to it. Speak to it by my word. And as you speak to it, this starts a whole process of manifestation, the invisible to the visible. A lot more. I'm just giving you a foretaste of how to tap into the glory. Maybe we're going to go into a lot of teachings about the glory because I'm just beginning to learn this stuff. I bought these books yesterday. I'm just beginning to learn right now. But I'll be here with you. So have a great Saturday. Once again, September 28, 2019. Tomorrow we are from Flagstaff, September 29. The September 30 on Monday, we're from Barstow, California. And October the 1st is Los Angeles. And remember, Rosh Hashanah, the head of the New Year, which is really the Christian's New Year, starts tomorrow and runs through Tuesday. And what's important is that in the Jewish calendar, Rosh Hashanah really is year 2020. And that's God's calendar. And there's been so many prophecies about Rosh Hashanah, the head of the year, the Jewish New Year, which is really the Christian's New Year. It starts tomorrow, September 29. And there's been amazing prophecies, and God's been speaking to me that 2020, for those of us that really want it, 2020 will be a much bigger, a much more powerful year, much more powerful, bigger assignments, bigger callings, bigger destinies. Tomorrow starts our New Year's, my friend, Rosh Hashanah, and do a study. There is a woman on Facebook. She's a prophetess by the name of Lana Vawser. I think Lana Vawser. Lana Vawser, Lana Vawser. She's a prophet. You can find her on Facebook, Lana Vawser. She has an incredible prophecy about Rosh Hashanah in 2020, starting tomorrow, that I bear total witness. It's from the Lord. It's on her Facebook page. I think it's called Realignment of Things in 2020 and Realignment of Things in the Rosh Hashanah. Lana Vawser, Vawser. Read her prophecy about what God has for you in 2020, starting tomorrow with the Jewish New Year. Okay, my friends, God bless you. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.